So the Gemara says, Moshe Rabbeinu wrote all of the Torah, the whole Torah, plus Parashat Balak, which has in it the story of Bilam. And the obvious question is, Ma nishtanta Parashat Bilam mishar kol Torah? Why is Parashat Bilam, Parashat Balak, any different than the rest of the Torah? Obviously, if Parashat Balak is in the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu wrote all of the Torah, so he also wrote Parashat Bilam. What's the difference? The Maharil Diskin has a famous pshat, and he says like this. Maharil Diskin says that, it says in the Gemara that all of the Nevi'im were mitnabeh ba'aspaklaria she'eina me'ira. Moshe Rabbeinu was on a greater level, and he was mitnabeh ba'aspaklaria me'ira. What's aspaklaria me'ira? A clear vision. Moshe Rabbeinu's nevuah, Moshe Rabbeinu's prophecy was clear. He saw it in a clear vision. Mashiach and the rest of the Nevi'im was an non-clear vision. Aspaklaria she'eina me'ira. What's the difference? Says the Maharil Diskin, the difference is like this. Moshe Rabbeinu, when he heard the prophecy from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he heard the Dvar Hashem, it was clear. It wasn't up to his interpretation to be mefaresh the nevuah. He heard the Dvar Hashem as is. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Rotzoin was revealed to Moshe Rabbeinu exactly the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it. That was the vision of Moshe Rabbeinu. That was the level of Moshe Rabbeinu's prophecy, Moshe Rabbeinu's nevuah. The rest of the Nevi'im was an unclear vision. What does that mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu had a code. He showed them a nevuah which was a certain code, and it was up to them to interpret it and to decipher what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants in this nevuah based on their own personality and perspective. That's what it means, a non-clear vision. It was based on their interpretation, how to decipher the nevuah. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu had a code, and they interpreted based on their personality and perspective. Says the Maharil Diskin, therefore, the difference between Torah and Nevi'im is exactly this. Because you can ask, what's the difference between Torah and Navi? I mean, what differentiates the Chamisha Chumshe Torah from the rest of the Nevi'im? Why is the Chamisha Chumshe Torah different than Yeshua? Because of the period of Moshe Rabbeinu, that was the period of Yeshua, so call that Moshe and call that Yeshua. What's the special thing about the Torah in different than the other Nevi'im? Says the Maharil Diskin exactly this. Moshe Rabbeinu's nevuah, as he heard it from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, was exactly as is, as HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed himself to Moshe Rabbeinu, and whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Moshe Rabbeinu wrote in the Torah, and that is Torah. It wasn't up to Moshe Rabbeinu to interpret it. He didn't need to. It was aspaklaria meira. The Dvar Hashem was exact. Moshe Rabbeinu copied it down. That means when HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to Avraham Avinu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to Yitzchak, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to Yaakov Avinu, that was not yet Torah. When did it become Torah? When HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed himself to the greatest of all Nevi'im, which is Moshe Rabbeinu, be'aspaklaria meira, clear vision, and that became Torah. That's the Chamisha Chumshe Torah. Yeshua wasn't like that. It was aspaklaria she'eina meira. HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed himself, and Yeshua interpreted it based on his perspective. That's Tanakh, that's Nach, that's Nevi'im. Says the Maharil Diskin. It says in the Torah, it says in the Gemara, it says in the Pasuk, V'lo kam navi od keMoshe. Moshe Rabbeinu was the greatest of all Nevi'im. But the Gemara says, Ba'umas ha'olam kam. There was one time in history, there was a Navi which was on the same level of Moshe Rabbeinu. Who was that? Bilam. Bilam wanted to curse Am Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, no, you can't curse, you got to bless them. Bilam still goes ahead. Why is that? He's crazy. You're going against God. I mean, you want God to give you a nevuah to curse Am Yisrael, and God tells you, no, it's not going to be like that. You're going to bless them. Why did Bilam go? You know why he went? He was certain that he has such bad midos and such negativity inside him, as the Mishnah in Ovis says. He was certain that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give him the code, and with his midos rois, he's going to be able to interpret it as a curse. What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? He showed him aspaklaria meira, like Moshe Rabbeinu. On the same level of Moshe Rabbeinu. Hey, it's not up to your interpretation. It's not up to you to explain the Nevuah. I'm going to tell you the Dvar Hashem as is, a blessing. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu do. So that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did. That's in order for him to bless Am Yisrael, HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to show him a clear vision. That's what it means. Moshe Rabbeinu wrote all of the Torah, Sefer Bilam. Why? Because Sefer Bilam did not need to be written by Moshe Rabbeinu in order to become Torah. It was Aspaklaria Meira before Moshe Rabbeinu, before the Nevuah that was given to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu needed the Nevuah in order to write the rest of the Torah for it to become Torah, because it was seen in a clear vision. Bilam's Nevuah was seen with and was said in a clear vision before Moshe Rabbeinu copied it down. So all Moshe Rabbeinu needed to do is to copy it in the Torah. That's the Hadgasha in the Gemara. Moshe Rabbeinu wrote all of the Torah, and through that it became Torah. Parshas Bilam, that was Torah before Moshe Rabbeinu wrote it. He only needed to copy it down. Based on this Yesod, the Maharil also explains a Gemara in Megillah. It says that Yoshiyahu found the Sefer Torah, and he sent, and then he found, and it opened up to Parshas HaToichecha. So he wanted to bring it to a Navi in order to explain the Nevuah, in order to explain the Toichecha. So who did he pick? He picked Chulda HaNevi'ah. Frag the Gemara in Megillah, why didn't he send the Nevuah to Yirmiyahu that lived at that time? And he was a greater Navi, says the Gemara, because Noshim Rachmoni is saying. He wanted a woman to decipher the Nevuah. Why? Because she's Rachmanit. So what if she's Rachmanit? A Nevuah is a Nevuah. No. All the Nevi'im, they're shown a code, and it's up to them to decipher it. It's up to them to interpret it. And a woman, Yoshiyahu felt, will be able to interpret it more positively than a man. Nosim Rachmoni, he's saying. And that's what we say also in the blessing on the Haftarah. We say, Asher bochar bin v'im tovim v'rotza b'divrayim. And what's Nevi'im tovim? Well, they're good Nevi'im and bad Nevi'im. What are Nevi'im Tovim? Nevi'im Tovim are Nevi'im that are able to interpret the Nevuah positively. And the more Tov you are, the more the Nevuah will become more and more positive. And that's the Pshat, Rav Shach says, based on this Maharil Diskin. He says, that's also the Pshat, and what the Olam asks, what was the big nisoyon in Avraham Avinu being Oiked Yitzchak? He was willing to shecht Yitzchak. What's the big nisayon? HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him to do it. And if HaKadosh Baruch Hu will tell me and will reveal himself to me and tell me, well, who wouldn't do it? God himself tells you to do it. What's the big nisayon? Says Rav Shach, Avraham Avinu was a nevuah she'ba'aspaklaria she'ena meira. It was not a clear vision. It was up to him to interpret it and to decipher it. Now he could have been mefaresh the nevuah differently. But yet, with his midos tovos, with his dveikus ba'Hashem, he was able to interpret the nevuah exactly the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted him to interpret it. That was the big nisayon. Are you going to be moved by your midos and by your ahava to your son and interpret the nevuah in different than Hashem wants you to interpret it, or not? That was the nisayon of Avraham, and he succeeded. So that's the pshat, Rabbi Isai. That's a special parsha that we're having coming up this week, Parashat Bilam. And we should remember that Parashat Bilam is different than the rest of the Torah. Parashat Bilam became Torah before Moshe Rabbeinu wrote it. Why? It was given to Bilam baspaklaria me'ira. All Moshe had to do is just copy it down in the Torah.